Welcome to Per Her Perspective, a podcast of raw, relatable conversations on leadership, challenges, and solutions in running a business, often with the support of smart peers. The show inspires business owners to grow, make bold decisions, and go bigger with confidence. I'm your host, Marla Noel. Let's get started. Good afternoon and welcome to Per Her Perspective. Today I'm interviewing Jennifer Q, who is the former CEO and board member of the publicly held Jones Soda, a business Jennifer helped to build from scratch. After successfully building Jones Soda, Jennifer parted ways with the company to spend time abroad. Most recently, Jennifer has focused her professional acumen on strategic business consulting, private investment initiatives, and financial advising with OnQ Ventures. Prior to her time at Jones Soda, Jennifer worked in corporate banking and equity investment for several financial firms. Jennifer is a Treasure WBO member, and according to her chapter chair, it has been an honor to witness her strategically move through her different roles. She is a big supporter of women-led businesses and an international citizen as well. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you, Marla. It's great to
So,
be here.
um, I love to find out what gets business owners motivation to start a business. What was it that motivated you?
Well, I sort of had different stages of business startups. The first stage was Jones Soda, and I was going down a very traditional path of investment banking, corporate banking. And never thought of being an entrepreneur, quite frankly. I really had that path and I was going down there. But then something, I was sitting on the board of this company and I had the opportunity to jump on board to build its own beverage brand. So I did. And that's how I started in at Jones Soda. And that's sort of the business building, the first business building experience that I had. And then I came, I built it, we took it to NASDAQ, and then I came back about 5 years later. And now I've just started another business. I think I really like to start businesses is really the gist of it. I'm starting a business right now. I managed to get liquidity out of the various times that I was at Jones Soda. So I have investment capital of my own to invest in businesses. I look for female run when I can and do advisory and investment in businesses right now. And right now I'm pivoting a little bit and looking for more of a majority ownership stake in businesses.
Yeah, that sounds smart. Tell me, what was your childhood like? I always want to delve into, a lot of times the entrepreneurs have entrepreneurial parents, but so what was your beginnings like?
I did not have entrepreneurial parents. My father was the head coach of disabled athletes as a volunteer position in Canada. He brought me and my two sisters, I'm one of three sisters, to all of his various events. So we got involved in sports from a very early age as young girls. I think it was sports, quite frankly, that just allowed me to start taking risks. And, I played volleyball, basketball, track and field, cross country. I did everything. I think that was really the thing that sort of set me in motion for entrepreneurship.
I have heard that more than once.
Re
I think that that's a really common thread
Mhm.
for entrepreneurs or somebody to get started and really take on that challenge of building a business and, building a team. It's kind of fun to play with teams, right?
It really is. I did do a lot of team sports, and I am competitive too. So I like to win, and building a business, you gotta have that competitive spirit, I believe.
I agree with you there. Was there a mentor that helped you get going?
Early on, I mean, I have had so many different mentors. My original mentor was my uncle, and he took an interest in me, and I was sort of interested in investment, so he helped introduce me that way. And then once I got involved in my career, it was my various bosses that, I really valued my original boss in corporate banking and then investment banking. And then I had a board of directors at Jones Soda, quite frankly, and there was, especially the first go around, we had really solid board members. I really got to learn a lot from some really great advisors on that time with Jones Soda. And then I continue, I always am seeking advice. I have friends and WPO. I either use, WPO as sort of a sounding board. They have a lot of got good opportunities there. And I do a lot of one-on-ones with my WPO members, like when I just want to hash through something.
Yeah, good. That's fantastic. Having a board, I know I had a board running a business as well, and it really was helpful to have that additional set of eyes and questioning, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, yeah, they're really supportive in so many ways, but also held me to account. I remember one distinctly, one board member that respected. He is the CEO of a beverage company in New Zealand, and he basically said, "Jen," when I was CFO, COO, he's like, "You're responsible for making this happen too." So he just lit fire under my under me, and I just like, "You're
You gotta
right."
do it.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
so it was from an accountability perspective as well. I really did appreciate that, and that's what I do in my businesses too. I sort of in my advisory business, even though some businesses don't like I hold them accountable. I act like a one-man board of advisors too, and it's can be uncomfortable, but it's really important.
It's very important, and I do the same with my clients. I call
Mhm.
myself a pusher.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not a good
Right,
thing
right,
to
right. Sure, in another way.
You have 2 sisters.
Yeah,
D Now do they both run businesses, or tell me about
yeah.
growing up with 2 sisters?
I mean, I was the youngest, and I was, like,
Mm.
literally
This
the redheaded stepchild, and this used to be quite red, so literally and figuratively, I was sort of like the last thought. I was just so motivated to prove it. Like, I've got worth, and I know there's sort of reasons, and I look back on that as to why, but, I was sort of a forgotten one, and I think that drove me to just prove it.
Mhm. Wow. In running the business, um, what do you think were a couple of things that made a positive impact on your growth in the business?
I'll talk initially about Jones building from scratch. Like we were sort of a lot of fits and starts and sort of ups and downs. But honestly, the thing that really helped propel it was understanding focus because we were doing so many different things. And and then it said, okay, we have to just but we had this really great brand and we were sort of not seeing the real opportunity in front of us. We had to sort of shed various initiatives and then we focused our limited resources, human capital, financial resources on our core brand in core markets and all of a sudden we flourished and grew. That is one start from that
So
focus.
how though did you achieve the focus? Because I
Mhm.
know that this is a challenge for a lot of businesses. How did you, number one, get there and realize, okay, if we just do this one thing well, how did
Yeah.
you do that?
I mean, it was really through a lot of failures, quite frankly. I'd given up this investment banking career and sort of was in it in this startup, and we'd grown the business quite well. But we hadn't made any profits. We were always struggling. So it was just about really just looking at it and saying, "There's too much going on," and it was really taking a step back. And honestly, having good advisors too. I had a board there that felt the same thing too, is we just had to step back and distill it down to a core item, core markets. A lot of big companies can, do a lot of different things, but when you're a small business, you really need to focus.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that sort of was, a lot of missteps, advisors that helped. And it was really honestly, it was magical when it really did work.
Yeah.
So
All of a sudden we're making money. Doesn't that feel good?
it
It's
really
like
feels good, honestly. It really feels good.
so you left
Mhm.
for a little while and went where? Because I love this about your
Oh,
story.
Yes, I spent, gosh, I think it was 10, 11 years building Jones the first time. I kind of forgot to have a personal life along the way, so I extricated myself, and this was a public company, so I was very fortunate that eventually I could sell my shares so I could liquidate it. I moved to Paris, and
I
I
love
just
Paris.
I do too, and I was kinda torn because I was thinking I wanna go be a president of this company or that company, and I was a workaholic at the core, but my girlfriend at the time really advised me, do something different, and so we hatched out a plan, and I moved to Paris, and it was really, really hard initially when everyone said, "Oh, you're so lucky you're in Paris," but you know what? I was used to 80 employees and really being, the go-to person for a lot, and it was my whole identity. I suffered a fair bit on those streets in Paris, but then, I was taking French classes, I was going to the museums, I was meeting some Frenchmen because I was finally having a personal life, and then I started to enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that identity wrapped up in the business, I think a lot of business owners have struggle with that and don't figure out that that's where they are until they sell the business or like you,
Right.
they leave the business and it's crazy how much that impacts your like what's going on in there. Your
Absolutely.
identity is like all of a sudden people are not coming to me and asking me, or not making decisions that are really big decisions.
Yeah. It
Except
was
for I'll tell you something though, moving to Paris, that sounds so brave.
I know at the end of the day, it was really scary, quite frankly. I could have gone to New York City and had a
Yeah,
lot numerous connections, but I went to Paris to add another challenge of learning French and just being away from it and really just instead of the do, just trying to be. And it was hard. It was really, I had to meet people, get, in a different language. And I did that. It was another sort of challenge that I'd put on myself that I didn't think was going to be a challenge, but it was.
yeah. Do you still speak French?
Je,
Parlez-vous français?
je parle couramment français.
Oh,
Mais aussi italien. I speak Italian now because I met an Italian.
me about that Italian. So we have to
Yeah.
get a little bit into you had an adventure.
I did have an adventure, which I wasn't, I was thinking, okay, maybe 6 months in Paris, then I'd come back. But I started to enjoy Europe. And so then through friends of friends, I met an Italian. So I'd finally perfected my French enough to meet and have a relationship with a Frenchman, but I met an Italian. So he was from Rome, Antonio. And so therefore I had to start to learn to speak Italian. Some of his family members didn't speak any English. There was another challenge, and thing to do, and I learned Italian. I speak Italian better than I speak, French now because I
Let
married
me
that Italian, actually.
very important to know that language. So tell me because I'm a little bit curious about this because I am just terrible at languages. Do
Yeah.
you think that helps expand your thinking knowing different languages?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you learn sort of a different culture just by the different expressions in the different language. Absolutely. I learned about the French, I learned about the Italian, and then just also to living, not traveling to, living in these countries was really critical for it's just an education in and of itself. So yeah, it definitely expanded my horizon in a huge way.
So what do you miss about Italy?
Oh my gosh, the raw material, the food, the quality of the raw materials. I miss the warmth. The people were, not just only temperature, but the people are just so friendly. The country is gorgeous. The culture, the museums, the buildings, um, it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, yeah. I'm lucky to have visited there as well.
Yeah,
But okay, but you came back.
I
You came back.
did. I
So
did.
tell me why.
Well, I met Antonio and I quickly got pregnant, believe it or not. And so we decided to start a life back in the United States. As a good Italian, he was excited to have an adventure in the United States. So we decided to move back and move into San Francisco. We had our daughter, Eleonora, in San Francisco. And at that point, I was also gearing up to I had never been done business. I wouldn't have minded starting something again. So we moved into San Francisco. Antonio started up he was a wine sommelier by trade, so he started up a wines business.
I like this guy already. I'm a wino, and
Oh,
I love good wines,
yeah,
so
yeah,
nice. Nice. You came back, though, to Jones.
yeah,
How'd that happen?
yeah. When I left, I mean, when I left sort of, in, like, around 2006, the business did well for about a year and a half, and then it started to slip. They went through about 4 CEOs along the way. One CEO is gone. They reached out to me when my daughter was 4 months, and I wasn't ready to come back. Then when she was 2, they reached out to me again. I still wasn't ready. And then when she was 5, I was said, okay, I really am looking for something to sink my teeth in. I was looking for something to put my own capital into, have a significant influence with, be a large shareholder, and then also build it. So I did say yes the third time round, and I initially was flying back from San Francisco to Seattle because Seattle's where the business is based. And then we as a family moved up to Seattle so I could sort of pursue this second time with Jones.
It's second time with Jones. What is it that you wish you had done sooner?
The second time at Jones, let's see. I mean, I came in knowing the business pretty well, and I had to basically it was sort of in a really rough position, so I had to turn it around right away. So I did that one pretty quick. I think in hindsight, by then the beverage industry had sort of changed. It was a sweetened beverage. That was really, I was focused on a turnaround, and I wish I'd maybe just like, we started to try different offerings in the beverage world, like less sugar, less. I wish I'd done that sooner, really, if I want to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah. Healthier options. Just we're all trying that. Do you have any disciplines that you wish to share with others about good business management?
I actually feel very fortunate. I know not a lot of people think it's fortunate, but I came from a public company background, so I really benefited from strong discipline as a public company. I really try to bring that into early stage businesses now with the advisory work that I do. And I'm brutal. I say, okay, it's every month we're doing a financial review and monthly financial reviews, trying to figure out what the variant, what's going on. Doing a planning session every year, doing a strategic plan, and bringing all of those great disciplines that you have as a public company without going too far, because it's like but yeah, it's consistency, it's holding ourselves accountable to the results, and being willing and able to look at when things aren't going great. So, okay, let's look at it and try to figure it out together. And then, you have a lot of eyes looking at you as a public company, so you are doing that a lot.
Yeah, yeah. That's good. It's funny. As a private business, my my VPs probably still grumble about this, but we had annual meetings and I made them report like they were in a public company. It's like, you're just
Right.
going to do this and maybe you never need this skill set ever again, but
Yeah,
I think it's good for people.
I do
So it's
too.
like,
That's
get
great.
up there and stand in front of the room and do it. What do you think about life balance? Because it sounds like you made some decisions based on family. Where are you today with that?
Well, I mean, whenever I get involved in sort of like the public company side, I seem to like not be able to have a work-life balance, quite frankly. I'm now involved with my own, I've got my own business and I'm able to have a little bit more balance. But again, yeah, generally it's not easy. There's a quote by, I think, Maria Shriver. I think it's like, women can have it all, but just not all at the same time. I
Yeah,
couldn't figure out
true.
a personal life along the way I couldn't figure out how to get that going. I know some women can. They can have 4 kids and run businesses. I haven't figured that out yet, but I'm trying to, with this last business, really be better at managing both.
Yeah. Yeah. It is hard. I hear all different types of versions of like this is what I do. It's difficult. I
Yeah.
I haven't heard anybody say, "Oh, I've got it figured out. But do you have any regrets in running a business?
I see this in WPO a lot. I brought my husband in to sort of help develop a brand, and I think that may have been a wrong thing. I know I hear a lot of women have their partners or in WPO as part of it. Yeah, I think I should not have done that. It just was a challenging thing to balance, and it really, honestly, it really was the end of us. That was one regret. Maybe not doing that, maybe doing it, especially under a public company scenario. It was just that was not a good decision.
Mm, yeah, I know some husband and wives that work together in the company, and I know only one that's really doing an amazing job of it, and they've been doing this for 45 years. But yeah, most of the time it's really hard. What advice would you offer business owners or somebody running a large division of a company? What advice would you say? Gosh, try this. I think it'll help you with running a business.
Well, like what we were saying, I do believe in sort of the accountability and consistency in the reporting. So just to really just do the checks and balances, having a plan, reviewing that every year, but then also being open to opportunities. Sometimes opportunities arise and you have to be ready to sort of leverage those and back focus, 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 focus.
So did you take a risk where and try something and it just didn't work out?
Yeah, definitely. We've tried, well, I mean, in the beverage world, we tried numerous different product introductions that, you're constantly taking a stab at. So yeah, and you have to sort of, what we've learned is we learned to put it out there. It may not be perfect, maybe make some iterations along the way, tweak it, and then run with it. But also then decide to know when to, like, pull it. Yeah, that's really hard because you get sort of so behind something, and then it's hard to know when to just keep fighting for it versus saying, "Okay, time's up. Time to
Yeah,
move on and
just stop it.
stop it." Yeah.
I just stop
Yes.
it. Easier said than done. I know I did that. I had my teeth into something and it's like, I know this is going to work. And my employees were saying it's not going to work. It's like, I know this is going to work.
Oh, your
It's not going to
employees,
work.
people that work for you always know.
Like, well, just listen to them.
Ah, exactly.
Speaking of employees, what would your employees say about you?
It varied at different times in my career. Yeah, honestly, the managing of people evolves. I did my MBA, I did this, that, whatever formal education. Nothing prepares you for managing people. And when I first got into it, it was a really stressful time in a startup. And I don't think I was really well liked, quite frankly. But I grew into it over time, and obviously you learn. And then I honestly tried to sort of eventually just balance having expectations with having fun too, and then also allowing everybody to have ownership and their own sort of autonomy over various areas of the business. That was one of the most satisfying things, just to see, especially the women in our business, to see the, flourishing and creating little businesses within our business. One of the women in Jones early on, she was just a smart, smart, really smart woman, and she took on the online business for us, and she just did a phenomenal job. And just seeing her rising star was so amazing. So really it was an evolution, learning. It's one of the most hardest things about a business is the yeah.
I remember learning how to be a manager, and I remember the very first mistake because somebody told me, "Oh, this person is doing this and is hurting blah blah blah," and I was up in arms. I'm going to take care of this. I'm going to just take care of this, and then I realized, there's two sides to every story.
Right.
It's like, oh yeah, I went in just ready to take care of things, and
Yeah,
yeah. Anyway, yeah, I learning to how to be a good manager is really difficult, and sometimes you only learn by making mistakes with
yeah.
people, which is what was, I think, the hardest experience that you had while running a business or that you're having now? What's really been hard?
Um, it's, I think the hard thing is also just balancing jumping in, taking risks, versus not, when to take big risks. I think that's what I'm experiencing right now too, is I've taken so many risks in my personal life and my career, and then I haven't. So it's sort of like, just to sort of, stop the evaluation and then just jump in and do it. I find that to be something I'm struggling a little bit with right now and have done in the past, but yet my experience shows that when I did took the risks, it worked out for the most part.
Yeah. That actually is what I found value in WPO because you're in the room with other entrepreneurs. So I had to learn how to be an entrepreneur because I'm a
Mhm.
CPA.
Yeah.
It's like I'm
That's very admirable.
a recovering CPA, but I had to be in the room with other WPO members because it's like, well, what are they doing to be good entrepreneurs?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so, um, how would you say WPO has helped you? So you mentioned that you have one-on-ones with them, and sometimes that helps you make decisions. But how else would you say it's helped you?
Well, I mean, WPO has been such a resource at various stages of my career, either, through the roundtables that we do, and the group really helped me through sort of a sort of issues, say, with company board of advisors, whatever, things like that. HR related things, the retreats, even like the regional, we do like within our Seattle chapter, we do our own retreat. Those are really great. The national conference, the Entrepreneurial Excellence Conference, really great for connections and just inspiration. We saw Jim Collins the other year, just a few years ago in Colorado. That was very inspiring.
He was good. He was
He was
good.
really good. And
That
then even
flywheel. I still remember his flywheel talk.
I know, that was so great. But when it comes down to it, is about the connection. And I mean, it's either connection with my co-chairs, connection with my WPO members within Seattle, and then around it's the globe, right?
Yeah.
I'm from Canada originally, so I have a special affection to the Canadian chapters. So I've met some of them too. Um,
Don O'Connor.
I've not. Oh, hold on. Is she Toronto? Is she the
I
Toronto chapter?
I'm not sure, but she's so big in WPO,
Yeah,
so
in
she's
Canada.
brilliant.
Yeah, in Toronto, yeah. So,
Yeah. So,
I get so much out of my core chapter even without the platinum. And I really, even those that are no longer in my WPO, I stay in touch with all my former WPO members. I've got a lunch this Friday with a former WPO member, so I really have valued this network.
yeah, yeah. I Can you think of any one thing that you got from the round table that impacted your business? Like any one memory?
Big round table was just what I mentioned, about you having my husband in the business, and dealing with sort of board really helped me transition out. I got to say that this group was my key in a challenging time. To finally, I'd been 20 years with one company. I needed to make the change, but the WPO members were just going, Jennifer, it's time. They they held me to account.
Good,
Yeah,
good. And that's one of the things that they're supposed to do, so they're doing their job. That's I've been involved in several peer groups in my life, and I just don't know of a better resource for business people than being in the room with other really smart people.
yeah, yeah. I really value it.
Yeah, and the forums, the energy
Yeah,
from meeting people and, from all over the world, it's
yeah,
just fabulous.
yeah.
I
It
got to
really.
meet a couple of people from Dubai this year.
Oh wow, that's
We
so
have
great.
WPO has a WPO chapter in Dubai now, which, boy, they need us,
Yeah, right. Yeah, for
if
sure.
anybody does.
Yeah,
Okay, so you have some great things, that you're doing, so tell me a little bit about your current company.
yeah. Well, on cue means sort of at the right time, so I figured I'd use my last name as a so yeah, I've got my own pool of capital, and I do investing in, mostly it's been more minority positions in companies. I try to focus on female run or led. It's not always the case that I can do that. I also do advisory to early stage businesses. And like I said, it's been this back and forth throughout my career is combining my own capital and my operating experience. So right now a little bit of a pivot looking for that one business where I want to launch into in a larger way. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Good. So, what kind of businesses, what are you looking for? So, since you're on this podcast,
Yes.
you do some advertising now. What
Yeah.
what type of business are you looking for, or what business or businesses?
Well, I most people think I'm looking for a consumer product because I've got beverage consumer product expertise. I will consider it. I'm looking at businesses even that, at this point in my life too, I want to learn, continue to learn. I want to apply my business building skills to even another business. I've been doing advisory to not just consumer products businesses, but all types of service related business, other types of products. I enjoy learning so much that I want to be able to also learn something new, and I'm quite tired of beverages, quite frankly.
There are
Yeah.
other things out there.
There are other things, and I don't wanna look in a cooler anymore. I do really value good cash flow, so I'm really kind of looking at companies that have established and it could be a boring business, quite frankly, or not. It's just like, have you figured it out as to that's the true sign of a business is good cash flow. So it's and providing liquidity for somebody else, you know?
Mhm.
You know,
Sometimes boring businesses are the best businesses.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. So I was with this very sexy brand in beverages and it was very exhilarating and intoxicating and I loved it, but it was tough to make a profit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so therefore, I also loved the acronym EBITDA, and you would understand that as a
Do you know what that
CPA.
is? Yes, and I've I've had a few owners that wanna sell, and they're not paying attention to the bottom line, cash flow, and they think because they have a good strategy that some strategic buyer is gonna come in, and it's like, "Yeah, no, I think most of the time, the first things they're looking at is EBITDA,
Yeah, and
and
I
we
mean,
wanna be going up,
yeah, and
not down."
I'm looking for businesses I could
Mm,
come in and improve too, because if I see that they've got something but you're right, even if they buy you on a multiple of revenue, you have to have good cash flow too. It's
you
just
do.
not even, even strategic buys, and it really you need to show that it's a business that can cash flow.
Right, right. So right now, what drives you above all else?
What drives me? I think learning. I really think that I really, it did formal education initially, and that's all great. I really realized that being just in it is and doing it yourself, like as an entrepreneur, is actually, that is a whole education process of itself. Learning languages, learning, new businesses. I think really learning, but honestly, I have to be realistic too. I like to win too. So I with my business, I want to be investing in companies where I succeed too. So I want to learn and I want to win. And if that sounds harsh, I hope not. And then give back. Honestly, I do a lot of giving back. I need to make sure that I forget about that. I've got multiple nonprofits that I give to, and that's really rewarding at the end of the day.
So if another public company came along and said, I'd really like to have Jennifer on my board,
Mhm.
would you do that again?
I would consider it on the board. I don't know about CEO of a public company at this point in my life because I like what I've got going right now with private and bringing
Hmm.
that discipline of a public. But I would consider public company board work for sure. I've had 20 years on a board,
Hmm.
public boards.
Yeah. And advisory boards too. I
Yeah.
think I know more and more people are considering advisory boards because that really does.
Yeah.
help to give that business owner a level of accountability. Is that something you do
Yep,
as well?
definitely, definitely, and I applaud those private companies that and you don't need to have a huge board, like, even, like, with this one company I'm working with here in Seattle, they love they really appreciate the accountability. So, it can be a 2-person board of advisors and just really it is so powerful.
Yeah, it really is. That accountability and business discipline, when I talk to business owners, it's like, that's really important to, we start these things, meetings,
Yeah,
a meeting cadence, reporting, financial reporting cadence. This discipline is so important. And
yeah.
it's
I think you, like myself, we sort of evolved out of the financial side of things, and so that is sort of second nature to us, but really, I think it's such a huge and important thing, and discipline in businesses, so yeah.
I wrote a book that
Yeah, oh,
trauma-free management has
yeah.
a little bit about discipline in there.
Oh, really?
It
Okay.
does. Speaking of, books, do you have any business books you like to read?
Yeah, we talked about Jim Collins, I do like his I really love Malcolm Gladwell, being in the beverage industry, competing against Cokes, David versus Goliath was really, really a good book. Then I also really admire Warren Buffett, and I went I follow
That guy makes
him.
so much money.
I know, but he's so humble and so, like, he makes so much sense, and then the other one too I wish there were more females that I could refer to, but there's not, Scott Galloway, I love Scott Galloway, I just love everything, his Pivot podcast with Kara Swisher, so just a whole sort of the runs the gambit really of what I like.
Speaking of podcasts, are there any podcasts that you listen to regularly?
The one that I do is the Scott Galloway one.
Mm,
It's sort of my
okay.
go-to. It's called Pivot. So I'm always listening to CNBC when I go out and walk and everything. It's always CNBC or Scott Galloway and Kara
Yeah.
Swisher.
Mm. I like listening to DOAC, Diary of a CEO.
Oh, I
It's
don't know it.
that
Doak?
DOAC. That
Okay.
Stephen and I apologize, Stephen, I don't remember your last name, but he asks really good questions. And
Oh,
he's from the UK, so yeah, I love his accent too.
okay.
Anyway,
I'm gonna check it out. Thank you.
yes. So is there anything I should have asked you that I did not ask you yet?
See, I mean, just, what was it that, what was it that made you finally just decide to get off, the work
Yeah.
treadmill?
Yeah, what did something click? Like
Yeah.
an event or a life changing, like
Well, I
what
was getting up in age and I was thinking, I might wanna have a child at one point. I had sort of achieved a lot of different things, and really, it's hard to get off the treadmill. You covered this a little bit, and I was able to but I can't say enough about making sure that you don't get locked into this path that it has to be, and you sort of open your eyes to new opportunities. So that is sort of, the one big learning of my life because I was so rigid and disciplined and everything was seeing, wow, this taking this sort of off the beaten path, it turned out to be one of the best things aside from having my daughter, one of the best things in my life was to have gone off and then started from scratch this business. It was so exciting, really challenging in so many ways. I really can say I've had a life well lived by really taking a risk and doing something different.
well, you're brave. I really think you're brave, it takes that little bit of, just let's throw caution to the wind, go to Paris.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I would have to say, when I was in Paris, I was looking at could I buy a place in
I
Paris and
know.
live here?
I understand that desire.
Yeah, it is a beautiful and fun city and
Yeah.
exciting.
And Rome too, Rome next. Rome is
Yeah.
like, Rome is pretty special.
Yeah, well, it really is nice to see a lot of the other parts of the world because you learn a lot about yourself,
Yeah, you
right?
do, and having to, like, figure things out and yeah, it's
Problem solving. It gives you some problem
yes.
solving skills, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. It really
Yeah,
does. It's
yeah.
I really felt that I had accomplished a lot in Paris when I could have an argument with an old French woman in the grocery store, because I at least had been able to get fluent enough in French where I could have that.
I love it. That is success.
Yes, yes.
Well, thank you so much, Jennifer, for being a guest on Per Her Perspective, and I really appreciate what you're doing and working with other women business owners. It really is important to other women business owners to help them be successful. So thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been wonderful getting to know you, Marla.
You've been listening to Per Her Perspective. I'm your host, Marla Knoll. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow the podcast so you don't miss what's next. To go deeper, check out my book, Drama Free Management, a practical guide to moving teams from high drama and low performance to low drama and exciting results. To connect with me, visit my website, ocgrowthadvisors.com. Until next time, keep leading with purpose and perspective.